All right. Well, again, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and join us with this informational session on New Zealand. We have our partner extraordinaires here, Grace and Grace. Would the two of you like to give us just a little intro to the both of you?
So I'm Grace. I have been working in the travel and tourism industry for, I guess, about 6 or 7 years. Done a whole lot of travel all over the world, but without a doubt, New Zealand's the best place I've been. And so I was super lucky to call it home. I've been working with Traverse Journeys now for, I think, about 2 years. We ran a tour with you guys last year, so we're super excited to get it done this year.
Hi, I'm also Grace. I work with Grace. I've been in the travel and tourism industry for about 1.5 years now, and I have done a lot of travel around the world. And I do love New Zealand. It is my favorite place to be. But yeah, excited to work with you guys and show you the gist about New Zealand.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And my name is Vaughn. I know it says Christina on there, but everyone pretty much calls me Vaughn. And I am the administrative coordinator for Traverse Journeys. I have not been to New Zealand, and it has been somewhere that I've been wanting to go for a very long time. So I'm actually really excited for this informational session. Before we get started, oops. There we go. Before we get started, I just want to give you a little bit of a background behind Traverse Journeys and their amazing ethos, which is it's people, planet, and purpose. And so what we mean by that is, like, for people, in everything that Traverse Journey is doing, they are always doing it to really think about the people that live there. And that's why they always want to make sure that they're going with local vendors, local partnerships, local nonprofit organizations, just anyone that's really making a great impact with the community and being able to share with you a more deeper, authentic experience of that location. And for the planet, of course, we always want to make sure that we are being sustainable as much as possible. Traverse Journeys loves partnering with really great products that are doing just that are really helping do wonderful things for the planet. One really quick example is we partner with Grail water bottles, and they're more than a water bottle, they're actually a water filter that can be reused anywhere and everywhere that you go. I own one myself. They're really amazing. I use them when I backpack. So that's just one way of how we're always trying to make sure that we're looking out for the planet. And then purpose. More than just checking something off your destination list, we really want to help provide an experience for you that is going to feel genuine and authentic. And it's also going to give you the opportunity to have an exchange, a cultural exchange. So it's not just about you coming to that location, it's also about what you can bring to the location too, and to be able to have a authentic cultural exchange with the people that you are engaged with. So those are the things that are at the heart of Traverse Journeys. And now let's move on to the good stuff. So Grace and Grace, let's go ahead and start out with the geography and climate of the area.
Perfect. So as many of you know, and you can see on the map, New Zealand's made up of 2 main islands. So very handily named, they're called the North and the South Island, so you can never forget. And there's also a tiny little one at the bottom called Stewart Island as well. On your tour, you'll visit both the North and the South Island, so you'll get a good mix of the 2 different regions and I guess what they offer. We're right bang smack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, which means the weather is a little bit like a tropical island. Sometimes we can't quite tell what it's going to do in a day. Today, there's been 4 seasons in one day. But in summer, the weather is usually perfect. Blue skies, sunny all the time. So what sets New Zealand apart from, I guess... Oh, sorry, do you want to go back one?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So I guess what sets New Zealand apart from other islands, I guess, in the Pacific is super diverse, super dramatic landscapes. We've got the snow-capped mountains, we've got lush forests, like white sand beaches, and then also all the fjords and all the coastlines down in the South Island. So the North Island has all the white sand beaches and coastlines and all the geothermal activity. So that's including in Rotorua, which has all the bubbling mud pools and the geysers. And then in contrast, the South Island is home to the Southern Alps. You can sort of see them on the map there. They're the spine of the South Island. So they're a huge mountain range and they run basically the whole length of the island, and they're home to New Zealand's highest mountain, Aoraki Mount Cook. And they're just stunning.
Do you know the elevation of that? I'm just really
I have
curious.
it here. I think it's, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it's 1,300 meters above sea level.
Oh, wow, beautiful.
So it's where Sir Edmund Hillary trained to climb Mount Everest up there. So he was the first man to scale Mount Everest, and he did all his training in Mount Cook in New Zealand.
Oh, I didn't know that. Awesome.
Cool. Alrighty.
When you are referring to summer months, that summer months are in New Zealand or summer months of Phoenix, where we are talking right now?
Summer months in New Zealand. So our summer technically starts in December, but we include a couple of months either side. So you're coming in November, so that'll be spring, end of spring going into summer. So it's perfect season. And then our hottest months are from November all the way through to March, April, and then it goes into our winter, which I'm not sure you guys would really call a winter because it rarely snows. It rarely gets cold enough to even wear 3 layers of clothing. So it's winter for us and we all pretend it's really cold, but it's not so cold.
So that would probably explain some of the photographs I've seen of people hanging it out on beaches with Santa hats on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so changeable from island to island too. So a bit of the history of New Zealand. So we were settled by the Polynesian people who came in their waka, in their canoe, across from the islands, and they founded New Zealand. It is what we call Aotearoa. That is the Māori name for New Zealand. We then had a Dutch explorer called Abel Tasman come over, and in classic fashion, thought he was the first one that founded New Zealand. So there was a bit of tension, a bit of warfare, but when you come over, you'll realize that a lot of places in New Zealand are named after Abel Tasman. We've got Tasman Sea, we've got a Tasman Glacier, we've got Abel Tasman National Park, because classic, they just name everything after themselves. Because, yeah, first one's here. Obviously, then we had the British colonization, and then we gained our independence as well from that. So our history of New Zealand is a little bit rocky, where it is a little bit rocky when there has been Indigenous people and then the British colonies have come over. So we do have quite a lot of that in our history, and it's still quite a contentious point today in New Zealand. But you do learn about it quite a lot when you're over here. You'll learn about it when you're here. It's a fun part of our history, but it's still quite prevalent in today. The religion, Christian, though it's only because British settled us, so we just took it on, but there's no real state religion. And languages is English, Maori, and English sign and New Zealand Sign Language. New Zealand is such a melting pot of cultures that you'll hear any language at any given time throughout all of New Zealand. So they're just the main 3, but you can meet people from all over the world here, which is probably one of the best things about us.
So what is the relationship of you two, Grace and Grace and Vaughn Travels Journey? You are the local organizer and they are based in New Zealand. That's what that is?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So how many people responded to this one?
To this informational session, well, we had around geez, I want to say 45 people RSVP. But you know, sometimes people forget. So, but if you don't mind, we're actually going to take questions at the end of this presentation. So
Okay.
feel free to write down all your questions, and then we'll be able to get to them at the end of this presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So we'll jump into some culture and values. So like I've mentioned a couple of times, New Zealand culture is a blend of Māori and European, along with Pacific Islands peoples, and then also the Asian influences as well, just because we're so close to Asia. It makes for like a really beautiful melting pot of all of these cultures all coming together and all living together. In New Zealand today, even we still have like big pockets of one culture all living together, which is really nice. But as a people, we like to think anyway that we're generally very friendly, and we have a super like laid back attitude. And I think it's just coming from the fact that we're a lovely island in the middle of the ocean, and you can't really be sad here. So we're all very laid back. The indigenous Māori people, they've got a super rich heritage that dates back over 1,000 years. Māori language, arts and traditions remain like an integral part of our identity. Like I touched on earlier, there's a bit of a contentious history issue, so we're trying to rectify that now by bringing more of a Māori influence into our like current New Zealand, and changing some like road signs and all that kind of stuff to be in Māori, to include it a bit more to like show our history, I guess, instead of trying to not show them as people. But it's really good. So while you're on tour, your guide will go through some of the Māori values that make our country so unique. I'm sure that you guys know the haka that's made famous by the New Zealand rugby team, the All Blacks. So while you're over here, you'll be able to learn the history of the haka, and then all like explore the heritage through traditional Māori performances, carvings, cuisine. And that's particularly when you're in Rotorua on your tour. So this will include your, I'm going to butcher these words, but I'm going to give it a good shot. Your Ngā Matatini Māori, which is your Māori diversity, your Kotahitanga, which is your Māori unity, and the shared space, like sense of belonging in Māori, and then our Wairotanga, which is also our spirituality. So it's a really beautiful nation where we do like live together in like very good harmony, and yeah, we love it, and we love the culture, and we love showing it to people. So yeah.
All right, let's take a trip.
So the focus of the itinerary, I sort of touched on it earlier, is to do the different landscapes, I guess, of the North and South Island. So you get to see the difference between the two, and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, I'll just move that. I can't see. So like I mentioned, there's incredible landscapes from the Southern Alps out to the Coromandel Peninsula, which is white sand beaches. It's amazing. We do a little ecotourism give back moment as well in Auckland on your second day, which I'll go into in a minute. And then we have beautiful food. We've got the people-to-people experiences as well. And then it is just an immersion into nature. You see it all. It's like a really great tour to see what New Zealand has to offer in terms of nature. It's just, yeah, beautiful. So day one is
sorry, I get trigger happy.
That's all right. So day one, we jump into the city of sails. So you land into Auckland. It's known as the city of sails because it's got a massive harbour, and it's also very windy. So it makes it for the perfect sailing town. When you arrive, your guide will give you like a tour of the city. So Auckland's built on 43 volcanic cones. So there's a whole lot to see. And it's also the most populous city of New Zealand. So there's a whole like just, it's very sprawling city. It's not like an American city where it's all condensed into one. It sprawls. So it goes for miles, and it's amazing. So on the first day, your guide will take you on an orientation tour of the city. You'll go up some of the volcanoes, see some amazing viewpoints as well, and it'll just show you the landmarks. And then also that first night as well, you have a dinner included. So you get to know your group, get to know your guide, and sort of plan out what you're doing for the rest of the trip.
Nice.
Alrighty, so day 2 is the give back moment. So like I said, Auckland is a harbour town. We're actually situated between 2 harbours. And today you go out on the harbour on an Auckland whale and dolphin safari. So you're most likely to see some native dolphins and then some orca whales, which is really beautiful. On the boat as well, you'll be joined with our community partner, which is Project Jonah. So they provide expert insight into like New Zealand's natural and native marine life and what they do to conserve it all. New Zealand's built on its natural wildlife and nature and landscapes, so we need people like Project Jonah to keep working on it, to keep building on it, and make sure that it's like stays pristine for the rest of the people to see. And then after that, you journey down to the Coromandel Peninsula. So it's about a 3.5-hour drive, but it's really, really beautiful. And you end up out on the coast in this beautiful beach town, white sand, islands everywhere. And it's sort of a mecca of relaxation. It's where we all go on our summer holidays when we go on holidays. So it's the best. Alrighty, and then so in the Coromandel Peninsula, you'll visit Hot Water Beach, which is pretty amazing. So it looks like a regular beach. You take a spade, you dig into the sand, and up comes up hot water. So you can basically sit in a spa pool on the beach, waves coming to you, and you dug your own spa pool. So it's a pretty amazing like part of the landscape, and definitely just a not to miss experience. We usually also go to Cathedral Cove, which is made famous by some movie sets, but unfortunately it is still closed. But if you do really want to go and see it, there's a kayaking trip that you guys can add on, and you can kayak out into the water and go and see that from the water instead of walking down the path. So after you've relaxed all morning, you head into Rotorua. So this is the geothermal centre of New Zealand. It is slightly strange smelling. It is all built on geothermal activity, so there's a bit of a sulfur smell, and you might say it smells a little bit like rotten eggs, but you do get used to it, and it's totally worth it. So this is where all the bubbling mud pools are, all that natural steam from the earth that comes up and provides us with the like hot pools, and all the natural like sulfur mud pools as well. So then this night is the night that you go out and you visit a traditional Māori village. So you go on the village tour, you can see all the arts and all the culture that they do there, all the carvings, you learn all about their history, you learn Māori words, you also get to learn the haka while also seeing some beautiful performances as well. And then very ending the evening, you do a hangi. So a hangi is a traditional New Zealand food, and it's basically your whole meal is cooked in the earth. So they use the hot steam or the hot rocks that provided by the earth to cook the food. So that night you all share a hangi, which is amazing, and it will be the best food you'll ever eat, I promise. Beautiful. So this is one of the places you can visit in Rotorua as well. So this is Hell's Gate Geothermal Pool. Like I mentioned, it's all like the bubbling mud, sulfur, and that's where it's probably going to be the most stinky, but it's definitely worth it. Perfect. And then this is part of the evening that you go to. So you meet traditional Māoris. You learn all about their tattoos and everything like that. And this is where you have that traditional hangi dinner.
It's a fun photo.
Beautiful. So this morning you'll have a little bit of time in the morning in Rotorua to see a couple of other things if there's time. And then you're going to jump on an internal flight. So you fly from the North Island and you fly down to Christchurch, which is the main city in the South Island. So your guide will give you a tour around Christchurch, sorry. Christchurch is pretty important to us. They actually had some pretty terrible earthquakes about 10 years ago, and the rebuild of the city that they're doing is amazing. They have the world famous cardboard cathedral there, which is the original cathedral that we had fell down in the earthquake, so they're rebuilding it all with cardboard. And its whole structure is all made by cardboard, so you get to go and see that, which is pretty cool. After that, you head out to Akaroa. So Akaroa is on the coast, and it's a beautiful little French inspired town. The people that landed there in the beginning were French, so it's all very French inspired little village. And this evening you'll get to visit a blue penguin colony. So the blue penguins are native to New Zealand, and in the evening is when they come back from fishing during the day. So you get to see them. You're standing about 20 meters away, you get to see them jump out of the ocean, toddle up the beach and into their nests, which is a really cool experience. And not many places in New Zealand you can see that and get that close and without interrupting their natural habitat, which is really amazing.
Cute.
Feel like I'm talking a lot, sorry. So you actually spend 2 nights in Akaroa, which is amazing. Because it's a harbour town, you can then spend the next full day exploring it. We really recommend going out onto the harbour, doing a harbour cruise, seeing some more natives that you maybe didn't see up in Auckland on your whale and dolphin safari. It's set on a big crater in the ocean, so it drops off, and there's some amazing stuff that you can see there. Really, like, it's amazing. And then in the afternoon, you've got basically the whole town, the whole area to explore. There's some beautiful day walks, or a couple of hour hikes as well, that you can go up the mountains and just see across all the views of the harbour as well. Beautiful. Oh, I just did that one, sorry.
Oh, I thought you did.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Skipped ahead.
Yeah.
So today you'll head inland, so you go into Mackenzie country. So from Akaroa, you basically drive straight into the Southern Alps, which is amazing. And this evening you'll end up in a place called Tekapo. So Tekapo is made famous by its glacial lake, and it is blue, and it's like the most amazing blue you'll ever see. It's stunning. There's also the very world famous like lupins that all grow there, and they make for some amazing photos. You can also go and visit the Church of the Good Shepherd, which is a tiny little church on the edge of the water, which is 100% worth a visit. It is amazing. And then also, so Tekapo is in the middle of a dark sky reserve. So New Zealand has one of the biggest dark sky reserves in the southern hemisphere. And what that means is there's no light pollution anywhere, so it's the best place for stargazing. So today you'll have the option, today you get to go to one of the observatories as well, and you go on like a multimedia experience through the galaxies, and you get to see the stars and all the planets and how they relate to Māori culture and how Māori have used the planets and the stars and everything in basically forever, and how they have like read the stars and all that kind of stuff. And then that evening you can obviously go and stargaze for the real things and see the things you've been and visited on your multimedia tour, which is really cool. All right, so the next day. So the next day, you continue your journey into the Southern Alps, and you go to Aoraki Mount Cook, the tallest mountain in New Zealand, and you go and walk the Hooker Valley Track, which is about a 3-hour track. It's one of the most famous day walks in New Zealand. It's basically completely flat, and every corner you turn, you just get new, beautiful views of all the mountains and all the glaciers. There's a beautiful river you follow through, and the swing bridges. It is just one of the best day walks you'll do. So up there as well, if you're not too keen on that walk, you can also go and visit the Sir Edmund Hillary Museum, which, like I mentioned earlier, is all about how he practiced his Mount Everest walk in Aoraki Mount Cook. So from Aoraki, you go down to Wanaka. Sorry, that was the day before, and you end up for the night in Wanaka. So this morning you go to a place called Criffle Farm, which is a working sheep station and a working deer farm. So you go and visit them. You have a traditional New Zealand morning tea. which is basically just an 11 o'clock snack. And they provide it all locally grown, all grown within, I think, maybe like 10 kilometers of the farm, of all this beautiful food. You get to learn how the farm runs and all of that kind of stuff. They take you on a farm tour. So after you've done that in the morning, you head down to Tianau. Tianau is known as the gateway village to the Milford Sound. So it's basically halfway between Queenstown and the Milford Sound, and it is stunning. It's set on Lake Tianau, and it's a beautiful little village. It's really, really amazing. So the next day from Tianau, you get taken out to Milford Sound. And I've actually just did this about 2 weeks ago, and it was incredible. It was the first time I'd done it, and because I always talk about it, and it was lived up to the hype. It's incredible. So you take from Tianau, it's about a 2-hour drive to Milford Sound, and then you take a 2-hour boat trip through the sound. So from the pier in Milford, you go all the way out to the ocean through the sound, and then you come back again. We saw seals, we saw some birds, we saw penguins, we saw dolphins, we saw it all. So it was amazing. And it's just incredible sight to see. There's waterfalls, it's just sheer cliff that drops into the ocean, and it's amazing. And they give you a whole story about how it's founded, who found it. It's probably the highlight of your trip will be the Milford Sound. Beautiful. And then the next day you go Tianau into Queenstown. So it's about a 2-hour drive from Tianau to Queenstown, and it's also stunning. You go up the Devil's Staircase, which is basically a road that's carved into the cliff on the edge of a lake. So it's pretty stunning every turn you take, and you end in Queenstown. So your guide will drop you in Queenstown, either at a hotel that you've pre-arranged, or they can point you in the direction of some good ones to go to. They can drop you off at the airport as well if you're leaving that day. And they can point you in the direction of some best places to eat, which is basically everywhere in Queenstown. It's the adventure capital of New Zealand, so there's also so much to do here as well. So we recommend staying a couple of days extra afterwards. Beautiful. So one of the main parts of New Zealand is the food. It is just incredible. So there's all the local cuisine. Like I said, we're an island nation, so seafood is one of our biggest things. Fresh lamb. We've got pies. So mince and cheese pies they're definitely top tier. And then we've got some unique indigenous foods like kumara, which is a sweet potato. We've got feijoas as well, which are amazing. And then also fish and chips is New Zealand's #1 go-to cuisine. So fish and chips on the beach, if you want to be a Kiwi, is definitely the place to go. Also, it's like New Zealand's known for wine and beer as well. So in the Queenstown region where you end in as well, it's known for its Pinot Noir grapes. And there's also Chardonnay and other like varietals throughout the country. So I recommend you trying some of them. And also we have a huge, big craft beer scene in New Zealand as well. So we have loads of little small Kiwi breweries making some amazing beers. So definitely worth trying them along the way. Beautiful. So a couple of flight tips, not to scare you off, but just to give you some handy information. So New Zealand has pretty strict border security. So when you jump on your flight, just make sure that you don't have any fresh food, and any food you do have is declared. They're pretty liberal with their fines if they do find you have some fresh food on you. So definitely don't do that. We use a New Zealand dollar here, and most credit cards are widely accepted, but it's a good idea just to carry around a bit of cash for some small purchases. You are going to some pretty remote areas, so cash is always easy as well. So in New Zealand, there's no tipping culture. So I know it's pretty major in the US, but there's no tipping culture here. So you don't need to do that even with your guide. They appreciate it if you want to do it, but it's totally not expected. We also have visas as well in New Zealand. They're pretty easy to get online. You just need to apply for it. And I think it costs about 20 New Zealand dollars. So maybe like 12 to 15 US dollars. You just need to make sure you get one of those before you come here. And like I mentioned, we are an island in the middle of nowhere, and the weather can change pretty rapidly. So, and especially if you're going to go on some of the day walks, just make sure you pack some layers. You never know what might happen. Make sure you always bring like a sweater and just have a raincoat just in case. It was sunshiny just before, and it's about to pour with rain now. So it's pretty changeable. And that's about it, I think, for the travel tip.
Oh, yep. Yes, it is. Awesome. Well, I do want to let everyone know that we have a trip coming up to New Zealand. That's going to be November the 17th through the 26th. And for those of you who are here and watching this, if you are interested and you would like to book a trip to New Zealand, we do have a discount for you. We are going to send out an email after this so that you will be able to have that. You don't have to write it down or remember it. And you can always mention it if you decide to book. And we will make sure to give you that discount. So, and just make sure that in order to use that discount, you do it before or, on October 15th. So it's my birthday. Okay. We also have, if you enjoy this, we have some other informational sessions coming up. We have one for India, which is coming up on October the 2nd, and then our Machu Picchu one on October 9th. We are actually missing one on here. We are doing one October 3rd for Greece, sailing as well. It's a really good one. And then on October 18th, a brand new France retreat that is happening next year. And so we're doing an informational session on that. So now let's go ahead and see if any of you have questions. You are more than welcome to unmute yourself. Since there's just only a couple of us in here, go ahead and unmute yourself and we can do a nice Q&A.
All right, I would like to ask, you gave the dates November 17th to 26th, and you also mentioned 2024. So tell me about the dates in 24 because November is too close. I already have commitments.
Yeah, we do not have those dates yet for 2024, but we will have them up shortly. I can easily make sure that we send out information to you when we do get those 2024 dates.
Okay, and now your package does include the flight?
No, it does not include the flight. That's definitely important to know. It includes everything else: food, accommodation, activities. We have add-on activities that are extra, but it doesn't include flights.
So where is the port of arrival or wherever we go from here, from Phoenix?
Flying to Auckland.
Auckland?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you fly out of Queenstown. So both of them are international airports.
Queenstown and Auckland, okay.
Yeah.
Queensland, okay. All right. I mean, you mentioned a lot of fruits and everything. I'm a vegetarian, so that is the only challenge I face sometimes when I go travel overseas. I struggle the most in China.
Yeah.
And we thought we love Chinese food here, but it wasn't the same thing over there. So, there was another question I had was currency. Is it a good idea to buy the currency ahead of time or buy at the airport or local banks? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I would usually say maybe buy it ahead if you want some to travel with, but also there's lots of like ATMs in New Zealand as well in the airport. So you can always, when you get here, if you have a card, you can just get some money out the ATM in Auckland when you arrive at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
How much on an average minimum you ask people to carry with them when it comes to cash?
To be honest, we wouldn't say very much. Like I mentioned, lots of places will accept cards. So if you want to do cash, I probably would only do about 200 to 300 New Zealand dollars at any one time. And that's just in cash in case.
Okay.
But so it would be about 100 to 150 US dollars at any one time. We're not a big cash currency kind of people. We're lots of on the card.
Okay, so when it comes to excursions or add-ons, that can be done there. That can be decided there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So your guide will be able to help you out. So when you get to each place, your guide will be able to help you out with pointing out some things. If there's one thing you really want to do, you really want to go kayaking, you want to try bungee jumping, if you want to throw yourself into New Zealand culture, you can, your guide will be able to help you out and book that when you're here.
So I'm assuming you're speaking English. So I'm assuming most people do speak English there?
Yes.
The language is not a challenge?
No.
Okay.
And is the I do not know how to pronounce your name.
So I do have questions, but I'm waiting for
Yes.
her to finish.
Okay, great.
So I want to be mindful.
Oh, yes.
What was my other question? Oh, how much you expect the travelers to walk in a day? Like, so.
Yeah, it's up to you, to be honest. A lot of the things we've included, you do stay quite close to the center of town. So if you do want to walk out and go to a restaurant at night, they should only be about 10 to 15-minute walk away. But you can walk as much as you want.
Okay.
We're a great outdoors nation. There's so many nice walking tracks to do. And the only real day that has a walk as one of the things that we've mentioned on the itinerary is the day up Mount Cook. But like I mentioned, if you don't want to do that, there's lots of other options in the village. You can go to the museum instead if you don't want to do that. And it's about a 3-hour walk that day, but it is all flat. And that's the only day that there's that something included for a walk.
All right. I think I'm good. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so hi guys, nice presentation.
Thank you.
On my bucket list, obviously. So just to reiterate, so your package deal includes everything except the flight, obviously, and then the extra excursions, like let's say sailing and something special that I would be interested in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next question is there a minimum or maximum number of people that needs to sign up in order to make that trip happen? Let's say the October one, just for example. I can't make the October one work, but let's just use that as an example.
Yeah, that's a great question.
So let's say we sign up and then you're like, hey, we need a minimum of 10 people in order to pull this off, or is there a number that's too little or too much? Where's that cap?
Yeah, so we our trips run on a minimum of 4 and a maximum of 14. So we are small group travel. We really do try to cap it at 14. And then once we have 4 people who have signed up, then the trip is a go. We always give an extensive advance notice to let you know if we feel like a trip isn't going to end up running. But I do know that New Zealand is quite popular and I have not seen that happen. So
Oh, New Zealand popular, come on. Then my second question, let's say there are 14 people. And it sounds like you guys have these itineraries planned out pretty much. And that's, you need that, right? Because that's what you do. Except, is there times throughout the day or options like that you can separate from the bigger group and then rejoin later for some private time or alone time? So just in case there are people that drives you crazy, you know how that goes with a bunch of strangers, especially if there are 14 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do have days where it's like you have a full day in Akaroa. If you want to spend to yourself, you can go and do whatever you want. And there's definitely time each day that you don't have to join the group on what they're doing if you don't want to. If you are choosing to do that, we definitely recommend you talk to your guide and let them know where you're off to and how long you think you'll be gone for. They can also book you on lots of like excursions by yourself as well. So if there's something you're desperate to do and none of the other group want to do it and you have enough time, they can absolutely book you on that and you can go and do that for yourself. It's definitely not, you have to stay with the group all the day, every day, because we know people and that doesn't work.
Just that
And
I throw that out
would,
there.
I would also love to add that I have not seen all 14 spots be taken. I would say that your average is probably around 6, 8. So that's also, it's a much more manageable number. We also offer a self-guided option too, and a self-guided means that you're not there with, you don't have a guide, but you do go on your own. You have an itinerary, all the things are still included and taken care of for you, but you're taking it as you would like. And that's a 2 minimum. So if you and like another travel companion is interested in doing something like that, the other part of it is that you can choose any dates at any point that you would like to go. So there's a slight benefit to that as well.
Okay. So with that, because you obviously have different guides in New Zealand or elsewhere, and then you have lodging. So are there preferred lodging places that you have already have relationships with that you could share with us photos at a later time? You don't need to do it today, just via email or post, because a lot of these photos are great, with the exception of the group shots. They seem a lot like stock photography versus a traveler's photos. So, I mean, I would like to see, if I was to sign up, I'd like to say, oh, well, what kind of lodging are we staying at, you know? So
We can definitely do that. One other recommendation that I do have is, if you are on Instagram, you should definitely check us out there, because we have an entire section of many different destinations where you can see all of our live reels and things so you get to like really see all of it. And that is something that I always recommend people who really want to know what it looks like. And so that's a great one too. Gives you like a really in-depth opportunity. You'll find those if you go onto the main Instagram page. You'll find those up at the top before you see all the posts.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think those are my questions. That's
I
it.
have a question. Now, do you require 2 people to sign up, or just singles are fine? Or if 2 people go, they get discounts, or how does that work?
Yeah, so pricing is based on double occupancy. So we do usually, people who are booking with the price that you see on our website is going to be for double occupancy. If you scroll further down on that website, on the main itinerary page, you'll see that there is a single room supplement if you would like. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have to have a single room. You can, it's double occupancy. And if you're in a double room, that's what you pay for. That just means that you will be sharing a room with someone else on the tour. So that's the only thing to consider.
And you said something about the pricing on website. Which website are you referring to?
That is traversejourneys.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and there you can check out all the destinations. You can check out New Zealand and be able to get all of the information that we gave you. I am going to send out an email with a recording to this and plenty of links for you to be able to take you straight to the New Zealand itinerary and so forth. And if you are interested in the self-guided option that we talked about, that is also on that page. So you can check it out there too.
Great. I'm on your site. So, okay, great.
Awesome.
Thanks, ladies.
Yeah, thank you.
And for what it's worth, I actually have quite a few Kiwi friends here. So
they're the best.
that always helps. Wonderful.
Well, they're not there, but they're here. But yeah.
Tell them to come back.
Yeah. Okay, I have to run. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ladies.
That was fun.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gracie
Bye-bye.
Grace. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
See you later. Am I good to leave?